highest-ranking NSA whistleblower to go public, Mr. Benny, told the London Guardian yesterday in a cover story that the NSA is set up to control and subvert the U.S. population and to politically dominate and control and to understand future trends so that select intel can be given to select corporations to be able to undercut their domestic competition. Rex 84, short for Readiness Exercise 84, was a classified scenario and drill developed by the United States federal government to suspend the United States Constitution, declare martial law, place military commanders in charge of the state and local governments, this is from the Miami Herald, and detain large numbers of American citizens who are deemed to be national security threats in the event that the president declares a state of national emergency. The plan states events causing such a declaration would be widespread U.S. opposition to a U.S. military invasion abroad, such as the United States was to directly invade Central America. To combat what the government perceived as subversive activities, the plan also authorized the military to direct order movements of civilian populations at state and regional levels into work brigades. And again, I'm reading from Wikipedia, which I don't go off of. They can put false stuff in there, but usually it's accurate. Where you go to it is in the bibliography, which is the Christian Science Monitor, University of Chicago Press, major publications, Congressional Record, Miami Herald, things like that. But I've already gone to the microfilm and actually pulled these articles myself, Sydney Morning Herald, house.gov, to make my police state films. I'm going right to your calls now. Ian, MP, Scott, Adam, Greg, and others. But the issue is no one is saying this but us, and I don't like that. No one is pointing out that Rex 84 was a plan to have the borders implode and use Central and South American influx through Mexico into the Southwest as a reason to suspend the Constitution. And it all clicked a few weeks ago that, yes, this is staged, and that, yes, Obama's shipping them in, that's confirmed, and that that's the goal, that the next mega wave that comes in, tens of millions, that's going to break down every major city and county, it's going to be hellish, is going to let them bring in a giant industrial level martial law takeover. Here's the headline. Rex 84, Ronald Reagan's plan to declare martial law and imprison Americans. You know, I'm not defending Ronald Reagan because he was pretty much a puppet, especially after he got shot. But technically, if you study it, Reagan just was like, sure, national security, do whatever you need to, Pentagon. It was a Pentagon think tank Rand Corporation plan, transcending Ronald Reagan. And the point is it's been picked up by Obama. It was Jimmy Carter who actually started it with FEMA in '79 with who? Brzezinski. So again, I'm not even defending the Republicans. They're into it to their eyeballs with Oliver North and the rest of it. The point is, it's the Democrats came up with this. They're the dominant party. They run the show. The Republicans just are basically Democrats that play the part of conservatives so they can keep taking over. That's why they win. It's loyal opposition. Now, we're going to go to, as I said, Ian, Adam, Scott, MP, Greg, and others. I just want to reintroduce here Moscow considering targeted strikes. That's from French news agency on Ukraine. It's in Itar TASS, official Russian state-run media. The Ukrainians bragged they've killed over 1,000 people in air raids the last 2 days and are now been caught shelling into Russian territory, not just Russian-held Ukraine or Russian-dominated Ukraine in the east. This could turn into a larger war at any time. Obviously, you know that. It's a big deal. Pentagon and CIA want to keep ISIS tweeting. We're going to be breaking that down. It's now mainstream news that ISIS is being commanded by Saudi Arabian, British, NATO, and U.S. intelligence forces. They're being given a top-down satellite look. They've been given the equipment, everything. This is high treason. And it doesn't matter because, you know, the Tea Party's the terrorist. You heard. Holder over the weekend again said it's the Tea Party. Keeps him up at night. Have you figured this out yet? You're living in a movie, folks. They think you're that dumb that they would openly fund al-Qaeda, take women's breast milk when they fly, and let illegal aliens fly without IDs. That's in the news today. We have a newscast coming up of it. Ian in Florida, thanks for calling. Nuke Tech Nation, and then we will go to, again, the others. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to start off by framing the whole thing about AFRICOM, right? I mean, that was what my boat did. Throw names out there. I'll just say we're up coast country X. Trolling and, collecting data mining, all that stuff, doing all that fun kind of stuff, because that's what we do is we just go ahead and we just stick our fingers in everybody's pie.
Yeah, I'm having trouble making a lot of what you're saying out. Can you maybe get closer to your phone?
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, I'm closer now. Yeah. No, I was just saying, as far as Africa goes, I mean, back 2011, we were up the coast of, I won't say the country name for OPSEC reasons, obviously. We would go there, we data mine, check out what they were saying on the satellite phones. We had, interpreters on the boat, all that stuff. I mean, we just are such an imperialist nation now, we're just sticking our finger in everybody's pie.
And funding extremists everywhere so they can take our liberty. It's immoral to overthrow Ukraine with George Soros and then claim it was an election when the guy wasn't elected, and then to start killing ethnic Russians all over the country, and then to start a war with Russia. And people say, well, why are you for Russia? No, I'm for survival. I'm for not starting fights. And what does your gut tell you is going on here? It's
just more... The more things change, the more they remain the same. Don't even get me started on Soros. I mean, he went and funded NAMBLA, for God's sake. I mean, come on.
That's right. The UN doesn't just have them as an NGO. The UN has them as a sponsored NGO, and now they've got a big judge in Australia saying pedophilia is okay and that we're basically pedophobic. So the new thing will be pedophiles coming out of the closet and you're hateful and at the public schools if you don't want a pedophile, having sex with your 5-year-old. I mean, that's where this is going.
I believe that scares me because I've got a kid going through the public school system now. I don't know. And that's up in Rhode Island. I'm down here in Florida. I don't know what goes on.
What are other folks in the Navy saying about the stuff that's going on?
I mean, it's been a while since I've been with them. With most of them, I'm firing listed now. But I can tell you, I know a couple of guys actually turned me on to it, listened to Ron Paul and listened to what he had to say. And then I learned about you actually through my girlfriend. So.
Well, that's awesome, Ian. Do you agree? Because I mean, the default is if Russia attacks Ukraine, if Ukraine fights back with any type of heavy armaments, the Russians have said before they'll use nukes as policy. Do you think that's rhetoric by the Russians that they would use tactical nuclear weapons on Ukrainian armor?
It could be. It could very well be. I mean, at the same time, I'm pretty sure we've got at least 5 or 6 subs sitting in the Caspian Sea right now, pretty much telling them, go right ahead, and make our day,
Oh, I know. Yeah, they got missile cruisers there with nukes off the Russian coast. It's incredible. And they've got their boats and their cruise missiles ready. It is just a real disaster. I appreciate your call. But see, the caller said, we've got boats saying make our day. But we're attacking Russia. George Soros brags he launched this. This is immoral. A Nazi collaborator who's still alive, running the Democratic Party, trying to shut down free speech in America, admits they started the overthrow of Ukraine to put something even worse in. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Adam, you're on the air. Then we'll go to, as I said, MP Scott and Greg. Go ahead, Adam.
Hi, Alex. Yeah, I'm a computer security professional. I work in the financial services industry. I work a lot with the credit card networks and banks all over the United States and Central and South America. And I don't think that people really realize how dangerous bringing 30, 40, 50 million undocumented individuals into the United States really is from an economic standpoint. Not only are they going to be sucking off of the government teat and, dwindling your resources that way, but they're also going to be sending all of their money home, well, to their real home, what they consider their home. And I can tell you from the industry that I'm in that, anybody over the age of 16 can walk into a corner store and get an international United States dollar prepaid Visa or MasterCard that they can then use to send money across international borders without any oversight from any of the financial institutions. As long as it's under $1,000 a day, nobody pays any attention. Well, if you've got, 20 million mules sending $1,000 a day back to the drug cartels, that's a lot of money.
Well, you just hit the nail on the proverbial head there. The Democrats, for a long time, Akron and others, got caught doing it, used children and teenagers as criminal cutouts. Criminal groups have always used teenagers as their operatives for a lot of reasons, not just child soldiers. And that's what this is a total mafia takeover. And the Democrats have been caught using, and the Republicans working with them to do it, illegal aliens' homes to launder money through and to get fake tax returns. So, yes, you have this total surveillance system for the American people, and mothers with milk can't fly, but illegals can walk right through because they're the black market cutout used by the shadow government, not just by the drug cartels.
Absolutely. And these people are arriving in the United States without any real documentation. They receive a consul matricula or an ID card from the American government. And as soon as you get an American government ID card of any nature, you can go open a bank account. And,
well, it's beyond that. I mean, the banks are accepting consular matricula that comes from the Mexican consulate, and they'll hand those out in Cracker Jack boxes. This is Alex Jones for InfoWarsLife.com. The latest in preparedness is now here. An electrically stabilized colloidal silver solution that can be added to both your home cabinet and preparedness pack alike. Concentrated to 30 parts per million in what has been dubbed the survival silver solution. The new InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver is the answer for you and your family. And it's entirely free of toxic artificial additives that are loaded into many products. The InfoWars Life Silver Bullet Silver is so powerful that it is concentrated into a 2-ounce bottle and is not recommended for extended continual use. This is not a low-grade formula. We are working with one of the top laboratory manufacturers in the United States to bring you the best form of colloidal silver using electrical processes within a base of deionized water for your preparedness storage or your home kitchen. Purchase your bottle of InfoWarsLife.com Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver today and find other amazing supplements at InfoWarsLife.com. We're talking to the military and other experts out there to get their take on the escalation with Russia and what they think about what's happening to our border. Well, what's happening with ISIS. The globalists are triggering an acceleration in global chaos. Order out of chaos. Order out of chaos. MP in Illinois, military police. What's your breakdown on what's happening?
Alex, basically what I'm looking at here and stuff is through the border, bringing the illegal immigrants to the border is kind of a sideline, in a sense, a false flag, what I say, to keep our minds off what's really going to happen. And basically what is really going to happen is that if you want to take out the Declaration and everything and stuff, trust me, they're going to attack Washington, D.C., either by nuke or whatever. It's going to make it look like the Russians did it. No, it's not going to be the Russians who did it. It's going to be like 9/11, what we did. Sir?
No, I hear you. And in fact, they've transferred so much power to unelected bureaucracies that they could nuke the Congress during a State of the Union or something. I agree. And then bring in total martial law saying the government's been wiped out.
Got it. Right there. You're on it. I'm ex-Special Forces military. I've only been out a few years, but I keep in contact with a lot of people. There's a rebellion going inside the military and the police right now. They don't want to do what they're doing. They're being told. They're also there's talk about Obama running third term, making him a king later on with all the peoples coming to different nations. But if they destroy Washington, they take it out, which they plan on doing. There'll be no Social Security checks. There'll be no money. No. It's going to be chaos completely. Martial law already be set in, but when they go to re-vote again, Obama's not going to be dead, and he's not going to leave. He's not going anywhere. If they vote him back in, they'll vote him back in as king. This is the most ambiguous, perplexing thing I've ever heard of in my life, but I see it as true. You know, I watched the movie you talked about, Dr. Strangelove. Look at that, Alex. You were right. Man, there's something like that's going to happen. And
well, that's because Stanley Kubrick, and I actually know some of his family, but even been given inside info that I'm not allowed to repeat, But the whole, which is incredible, I mean, because the family's so reclusive, and people tell me this incredible stuff and then I can't repeat it. It's very frustrating. But the point is, what I can say is, you notice they talk about the Bland Corporation. That's the Rand Corporation. All those people in that movie were basically real people and real things that almost happened. And so that was basically Stanley Kubrick with his own mind and his own understanding, but talking to experts, warning people. And so they make a joke about fluoride in the water in the film, but it's actually real. And so Kubrick was actually warning people. It's very, very heavy. And the good news is we can stop all this if there's an understanding of it. But the political elite want total power, total control now. And if we don't back them off, they will go for it all. I appreciate your call. I appreciate all of your concerns out there. That's the point about false flags. They got Al-Qaeda running. They've got a war with Russia that can be a real flag, buy a false flag. You could hit D.C. You could have the dollar die, which is starting to happen. You've got the borders imploding. They're just hitting us on every front. Scott in Michigan, then Jerry, then Greg. Scott, you're on the air.
You are the revolution, and you are definitely the tip of the spear. I did have one problem with the story that Leanne McAdoo did on the Palestinian children. I totally agree that the world doesn't care at all about Palestinian children. They don't care at all about the Palestinian people. But in her article, she said that the Israelites have a right to be scared. And they don't. They're the occupying, invading force standing on Palestinian land while the Palestinians fire rockets from Gaza into Palestine. They have no right to be scared. You're an occupying, invading force. If Palestine was firing rockets from Palestine into Israel, then
sure,
yes,
Scott, here's the deal. We don't screen calls, and we should have a debate about the Israel-Palestinian crisis sometime. It's a very complex issue from my perspective. But we're specifically talking about false flags, the open border, the Ukraine escalation. I want to hear from military, specifically with their take on what they think the globalist overall plan is to bring up different angles like that last caller did. Because if I once a week say, hey, I want people to call in on this subject, and then I let people call in on other subjects, no one will listen to me, and then we won't be on that subject. And we are in the middle of an explosive awakening by the military, police, the bureaucracy. I saw an article yesterday out of England where there's a rebellion by the government class against the police state over there. People are really starting to understand the reason police states aren't good, the reason tyrannies aren't good. They destroy stability. They destroy prosperity. They're scary. It's not Al-Qaeda that's scary. That's globalist run. It is the police state. It is the New World Order. It is the globalists that run our bank accounts, that run our lives, that control the nuclear weapons. It's people like George Soros, a bizarre Nazi collaborator, running almost every aspect of our lives that are the enemy. It's Bill and Melinda Gates openly funding the anti-gun groups, openly funding the open borders. It's the same group, a few dozen people every time. Let's go to Greg in Arizona. Appreciate you calling. Then we'll go to Jerry, David, and others. You're on the air. You say U.S. Special Forces. What is your take on all this?
Yes, former 18 Charlie Special Forces engineer. I think that you said it earlier, there's going to be a false flag with the economy. We're going to have these pandemics because there's rampant disease coming across the border. There's the plague in Colorado. It's going to be a full spectrum dominance, as you said.
And what do you think the end game is? What do you think the ruling establishment, what order do you think they'll roll all this out? They've already rolled out a lot of it. And what do you think the end game is?
As far as the order, I mean, that's going to be a crapshoot because it's hard to decipher what might be coming first because there are so many things coming at us at once. And that's, I think, meant to keep us off our toes, meant to keep us falling back. Because you know this best. We keep on having to react to this story about, the government trying to, take away our rights, and then this story about this other incident, and they keep on rolling it out. The zombies just won't listen. No matter how much news you throw at them, they're worried about sports, celebrities, and just useless stuff. And I think that is pretty visual to them that they can keep on doing it because not enough people are waking up and standing up against this.
This really is a testament to mind control, mass social conditioning and engineering. Great point, great call. That's why I love to talk to military people, because they really get it. That's why in college they make fun of the military. And have you heard the oxymoron, military intelligence? When, in my experience, military veterans are about the only group that gets it. And the globalists know that. That's why you're the #1 target. When they're done using you, you're the enemy. And it's like a science fiction book, except we're in 2014. So I guess we are in science fiction land, where you've got such mind control, such entertainment, such diversions, that the public watches 6, 7, 8 hours of television and video games a day. You go to restaurants, nobody's even talking. They're only on their smartphones. Kids can hardly talk. The language is imploding. Brain waves are lower now. Just look that up. Alzheimer's and brain disorders are directly linked to television viewing. Look that up. And the public has no idea even where Russia is, or that we're on the verge of war with them, or that our government publicly is funding ISIS to go and blow up every church and every minority Muslim, non-radical Muslim. I mean, in Iraq right now, they come to your house and they catch you with daughters that aren't wearing hoods over their heads, or daughters that are going to college. They take you outside and they kill you. And then they say your daughters deserve to be raped and killed because they haven't been sexually mutilated. I mean, you cannot make up the level of atrocities being committed. 300,000 conservatively killed the last 4 years in Syria by the CIA secret army. Most of them Christians. I mean, they go in Catholic churches, Orthodox churches, you name it. They take the priests, the nuns, the practitioners out, line them up and shoot them. And it's in the foreign news, and even the Vatican doesn't even say anything. Because it's politically incorrect to complain about being persecuted. I mean, if you want to know what the New World Order would like to do to us, Christians, and by the way, these are real Christians living in these dirt churches in the Middle East and these ancient cultures. These are devout Christians that have lived in peace for thousands of years there. They're being wiped out in Africa. They're being wiped out everywhere. I'm not talking about the people that go to these big showboat churches and feel good and hear a motivational speaker for an hour who's really on Homeland Security payroll under clergy response teams, spying on everybody and using psychological warfare and NLP on the practitioners with prosperity message bull. Can you imagine if these mega churches talked about the New World Order or abortion or the attack on our Second Amendment? No, they're like, we don't worry about the world. We just want souls. You're not getting souls up there watching some motivational speaker talk about how God's going to supersize you and you're going to have all these blessings because you pray for money. They're cults. And they're so sophisticated with the programming that I can hardly even watch it and not go under their control. It's very dangerous. I'm going to go back to your calls. David and Jerry and others will continue with current or former military to give your take on the crises. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Let's go to Jerry in Georgia, former military. What's your take on this?
Alex, I would just ask your people to Google 5 words, Las Vegas illegal aliens dialysis, and it will show you where 80 illegal aliens have almost crushed the largest hospital in Las Vegas. They don't have insurance, so they don't go for regular dialysis. They wait until they're almost in renal failure, and they game the system and go to the emergency room. They legally, you can't turn them away, and it's costing $18,000 a pop. It's costing the hospital $24
Yeah, I was aware of that. We should do our own article off the Las Vegas Review-Journal story and tie it into other things so that we have our own version of that with some added information. But, yeah, I see the headline. Put that back up on screen for me, guys. Thank you. Again, if you're a radio listener, we also simulcast TV. It's important to mention that because sometimes I'll talk to folks on the street that are listeners, but they go, why are you always talking about put it on screen? How does that work in radio? So people still don't understand that we simulcast television at InfoWarsNews.com. And the headline is, Medicaid helps hospitals pay for illegal immigrants' care. And then we have another one out of the Las Vegas Review-Journal that we'll put back on screen. Dialysis care for poor illegal immigrants costly for many area hospitals. Yeah, one South Texas town of McAllen said they'd spent over $20 million on illegals in the last year. In Marietta, California, $60 million. And people show up, black, white, Hispanic. You know, every time I see the protesters or the buses in Marietta, it was only white people. I don't know how the media did that. Our cameras, it was black, Hispanic, and white. I didn't see any Asians out there. And so go ahead.
If they end up closing these hospitals, I want people to ask their liberal friends, how are you going to feel when you have to drive a half hour to take your daughter who's been hurt, your grandfather who's been hurt, your parent, somebody, your loved one, and you don't have a hospital near you any longer? You don't, because they had to close. They couldn't afford to stay open. And that's, people need to have an intellectual conversation with these liberals and ask them, where are you going to go? I mean, they aren't bringing healthy young men to work. It's all kids that need medical care. And this is crushing us. It's not going to be a false flag one event. We're in the middle of it. It's a slow collapse, and it's been going on for years, and we're reaching the tipping point.
I agree, but there will be build-ups to the finales. And the question is, what is the finale? It may be a nuclear war. It may be the globalists nuking D.C. when it's in session. I mean, there's just no telling with the globalists, but everything is on the table with these nutcases. And it is the public's lack of understanding of how dire our straits are that is empowering this. Again, the good news is the police and military are learning about this because they're being prepared for the collapse, and they understand now, because of this show and Ron Paul and countless others warning them, plus they're smart, that this is being done by design. It's not just like all this just got prepared this week, because we and others have been telling them, but great points. Let's talk to David in Florida. Says his brother works for TSA, has some info for us. Again, the story's up on Infowars.com. You can't fly with breast milk, and citizens get their pants, jacked with and hands down their pants. But the illegals do not have to even have IDs, folks. Forget having fake IDs. They don't even need IDs. That article's up on Infowars.com. In fact, here's some of the headlines before I go to the caller. Lawsuit, Americans put on terror database for buying computers, waiting for relatives at train stations. World War III alert, Russia vows strikes in response to Ukrainian bombing of Russian town. I think that headline should be shelling, but same thing, same difference. Did Israel collude with ISIS to justify Gaza attack? Well, Israel has been, at least Netanyahu, has been endorsing ISIS. And that's not an anti-Israel statement. I mean, that's anti-everybody. Muslim, Christian, Jew, you name it, to help ISIS. And it's like, well, they'll help bring down Iran. That's evil. And our government and what Netanyahu's doing is bad. Maybe we can hear from some Israelis and Palestinians in the next hour on that subject. I mean, I don't like ISIS, and I don't like what Israel's doing. I mean, it's just it's evil government. It's evil groups that say, "Oh, we'll have no morals." I mean, where are the pro-Israel groups out there? Where are you criticizing Israel for supporting Al-Qaeda? Anyways, caller, sorry, go ahead. He just dropped. Okay, I was going to go to him, but then I wanted to hear the TSA info. Keep a line open for him to call right back. Caller 800-259-9231. I just started mentioning the TSA, so I thought I'd cover that article. Call back in. I want to hear what you have to say about that. Brett in Montana, former military, give us your take. Then Rambo. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Alex, that it is a multi-pronged attack. I don't think it's just one thing that is that's the plan. It's not just going to be one thing. And I think to answer your question, what's going to be the final act that brings it all down is probably the collapse of the dollar. And I personally think that the way it's going to go down is that you've got a lot of talk about impeaching Obama right now, especially with the VA scandal, with the stuff that's going down with at south of the border, the illegals, and all of these things obviously have to be on purpose to stir up racial hatred or anything that they can get out of it as a bonus. And once that we try to actually impeach Obama, what's to say he's just not going to kick up his feet on the desk and say, go fly a kite? I haven't listened to you on anything else before. Why would I listen to you now? And it's, the old blackmail. You don't bow down, we'll just collapse the dollar. And how are you going to impeach him if he declares martial law? And I think that's what the final thing is going to be.
And I tend to agree with you. That's the plan. I appreciate your call. We're going to go to Rambo, and then when we come back, I'm going to play the clip from the local news that's in our story out of Illinois. Homeland Security feds swarm small town and bizarre unannounced show of force. School field besieged by helicopters, SWAT vehicles, you name it. And then they, quote, let the kids climb around in the neighborhood on the helicopters and vehicles. It's an acclamation. It's a psyop on record. Rambo, Air Force, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, sir, if you thought that it's possible that they might come out and say that the space aliens are going to attack us again if we don't keep Obama in for a final and long-lasting life term. What do you think about that? Do you think they'll do that, or maybe have Al Gore do it for us?
Well, Obama is so unpopular now. Again, I don't think he's going to be a permanent dictator. He's acting as a dictator. Even a bunch of members of Congress are now calling him a dictator because that's what he is. On every front, he just acts outside of Congress. That's called a dictator. They dictate. They do what they want. I don't see them keeping him in. But you know what? I've been wrong about a lot of stuff. When it comes to Obama, he's much worse than I even possibly thought. And so they may have a plan to keep him in and bring in so many foreigners, their clients, of those groups, and basically stay in power. Because there have been lots of people that become dictators who were elected who become unpopular but stay in power through the power of the secret police. So I think that's a really good point. I appreciate your call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Edward Group. Today I'd like to talk about the war on women. You've experienced and heard about the benefits of super male vitality. Now, the new formula has arrived. Introducing the new Super Female Vitality. I have specifically designed this formula to help the body naturally regulate itself without the use of artificial hormones. key ingredients chosen from the highest quality sources. Each of these ingredients works synergistically with the female body in order to maximize overall vitality. You've heard the reviews and the feedback on how the original Super Male Vitality has revitalized relationships. Now, both the man and the woman can have the revitalization in their own bodies with Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality. Secure your Super Female Vitality today from our limited stock at InfoWarsLife.com.